What's up, y'all? Welcome to our Knowledge of the World survey. I'm Mike.
I'm Alexi.
I'm Finn.
I'm Zach.
I'm Bennett.
I'm Alex.
This survey provides insight on how factors such as age and socioeconomic status impact general knowledge on these topics.
We generated this survey by asking a series of questions in this category, as well as gathering some general information about the respondents.
We surveyed over 50 people from all over. Our goal was to examine how demographic factors such as age and socioeconomic background influences people's understandings of global events and key figures.
We then analyzed the results of two demographic questions, which were asked in our survey to see if there's any correlation between the results and the demographics.
Here are our results about our knowledge survey about global leaders, international organizations, and current events. So let's get started.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about the survey design, and my name is Alex, and I will start with our introduction to understand what we were doing for our survey, kind of what the topic question was, what the main idea is of this survey, and kind of what an overview of our results. So the purpose of this survey, our topic was to test people's knowledge of the world beyond the borders of the United States. And so kind of the goal that we made was to assess the general knowledge about global leaders, organizations, and geography among participants from various backgrounds. And so I'll kind of look at the sample size and demographics and the key questions that we decided to look at on this video. So let's get started. So our sample size contained 51 responses, so 51 different individuals were able to respond to our survey, and the primary demographic or age range, I should say, was 18 to 24 years old, and this is essentially, I think, because most of us are in that age range, so we forwarded this to people that we know that are similar in age to us. However, we were able to get different ages from 25 to 35 and 46 to 55 years, as well as I think we had one or two people that were 75 plus, and that can be seen here on this kind of lighter color. So then we also looked at the demographic according to the socioeconomic status, education level, and race of respondents, and we had 43% of responses were people in the middle class. Some 30% was upper middle class. Additionally, 39% of responses said that they had some college education, whereas a little above 30, somewhere around 32% said that they had a bachelor's degree or higher, and then 47% of respondents were white. So although we do have some majorities here, I would say that within the time allotted, we were able to get through quite a few responses and get a wide range of responses from age to social status. So that should kind of aid in us understanding the demographics of people answering these questions, and to see maybe why people got some questions correct, whereas others were not as consistent in the responses. So to move on, we'll kind of look at the key questions that will be covered in this presentation. Number one is tech in the world. So we looked at countries that have different technological advancements, because currently we have a big technological race. And so it's important to know if people know of these countries and where they are and kind of what is going on there. And also we were interested in, as I said, segueing and continuing on from the tech aspect. We want to see how people can locate these countries, because they are obviously very important for political, but not just political, but economic purposes and advancements as well. And so, seeing if people can identify these areas will yield some answers. We're also interested in world leaders. For example, we had a few questions with the Prime Minister of Israel or the President of Russia, and this is important because all of these aspects tie directly one into another. For example, with wars or with sanctions, economic sanctions that has direct impact based on world leaders and what they want and what they request their governments to do. And then lastly, we look at identifying countries making up economic or defense organizations such as the EU, European Union, or NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. So now we'll get started and head into kind of the nitty-gritty aspects of our poll.
Polling methodology, what we used to get our responses and how we generated them. First, we used Google Forms to get our responses. Google Forms is a great way to get responses as we easily obtained our respondees' information, and it was easy we just submitted our questions right onto the Google Forms and then we got them. How we generated responses. We used many methods to generate responses. First, we used the good old-fashioned word of mouth as just talking to people at our work and other places of where we interact daily to just say, hey, can you fill out this information for us and fill out this generate a response for us. We also used social media such as Twitter or now X, Instagram, Snapchat, and to generate responses from people. And we found this a great tactic as many people just saw the link, clicked on the link, and filled out our survey, which only took them a couple minutes.
Next, we have some key findings on some of our most interesting questions. This question takes us to the cutting edge of maritime innovation. Which country plans to launch the world's first fully autonomous cargo ships by 2025? The correct answer, Japan. Let's see how many people got it right. In the group aged 18 to 24, only 8 respondents answered correctly, and 25 got it wrong. And in the 25 to 35 age group, only 2 were correct out of 13. Among socioeconomic groups, the middle upper class was most accurate, with 4 correct answers, compared to just 1 from the lower class. This demonstrates that economic privilege may provide better exposure to unique innovations. It's noticeable that the awareness about Japan's advances in autonomous technology is not significant, especially among younger people who are typically updated on tech. Perhaps the hype around self-driving cars and AI overshadows advancements in the maritime innovation. It is also interesting to point out that only 8% of respondents chose the United States, and a whopping 55% chose China, indicating that most people thought that China is more technologically advanced than the US. This perception gap indicates that media coverage does not focus enough on tech advances in the United States. Next, we asked respondents if they could locate Ukraine on a map, a question that holds relevance given the geopolitical focus on Ukraine. We expected high accuracy, especially among the younger age group. Yet, of the 18 to 24 age group, only 22 out of 33 correctly located Ukraine, while 11 struggled. The 25 to 35 age group did slightly better with 8 correct out of 13. By class, the middle upper class performed well, with 15 correct answers, while the lower and lower middle classes together just scored 6. This gap reveals a potential influence of education and media access. The general gap in geographic knowledge is surprising, especially considering the global attention on Ukraine in the last 10 years, and especially in the last 2.5 years. Perhaps the media is focused more on leaders and events rather than geographic context.
Moving to a more traditional topic, we asked participants about the current monarch of Canada. With the recent ascension of King Charles III, this question highlights global awareness of Commonwealth leaders. In the 18 to 24 age group, only 16 out of 33 answered correctly, while the rest were either unsure or guessed incorrectly. Interestingly, older age groups performed better, with almost all participants aged 25 to 35 getting it correct. Middle upper class respondents again stood out with 11 correct answers, suggesting that economic factors may impact awareness of leadership outside mainstream media coverage. This divide raises questions. Are younger generations less informed about Commonwealth ties, or is that older groups have stronger connections to these long-standing traditions? Finally, we ventured into European politics, asking participants to identify which country is not a member of the European Union. While this question may seem straightforward, post-Brexit, the results were intriguing. Surprisingly, out of the 18 to 24 age group, only 14 responded correctly, while 19 chose the wrong answer. Even in the 25 to 35 age group, only 7 out of 13 identified the UK as a non-EU member. The middle upper class had 12 correct answers, while the lower and lower middle classes combined for only 4. This disparity raises questions about how economic divides shape awareness of major political events. With Brexit widely covered in recent years, one might expect a higher rate of correct answers. But this finding reflects a disconnect, possibly due to the complexities of political alliances and the changing landscape of the European Union.
Overall, our data suggests that younger participants and those from higher socioeconomic statuses tend to have a high awareness level of more widely discussed world topics. For example, 96.1% of people were able to accurately match pictures of controversial world leaders such as Vladimir Putin and Benjamin Netanyahu to their names. Every respondent in the age range of 18 to 24, besides one individual, was able to provide a correct response, with the same being true for the 25 to 35 age range. However, there was a considerable amount of incorrect responses regarding other world topics. Many of our respondents had trouble answering questions regarding global and political alliances and organizations, such as NATO and the European Union. As previously mentioned, many of the survey's respondents were unable to successfully identify the United Kingdom as a country not in the European Union. The majority of respondents who deemed themselves to be in the middle upper socioeconomic class actually correctly answered the question. However, respondents in the middle class and below had many incorrect responses, accounting for the majority of the incorrect responses to this question. This could possibly hint at socioeconomic status potentially playing a part in awareness of global topics and issues. In addition, only 68% of respondents were able to correctly identify what NATO stands for. You saw that most of the incorrect responses came from the 18 to 24 age group of respondents. From this, we can infer that younger people are more likely to lack a deeper knowledge of global alliances and organizations. There was also a noticeable amount of incorrect responses regarding questions involving the geographical positions of major countries currently in the global news cycle. As previously mentioned, many respondents were unable to correctly locate Ukraine on a map, which is a country involved in a major conflict that is funded and backed by the United States. Most of the correct responses came from middle upper class respondents, suggesting that there is a correlation between socioeconomic status and global geographical knowledge. However, most respondents answered questions regarding a country's political relationship with the United States correctly, except for the same question regarding the country of Yemen, which 31.4% of respondents incorrectly answered. This is likely due to the lack of widespread mainstream coverage of the conflict in the United States, at least not until recently. This suggests that people are generally aware of global conflicts and relations involving the United States, but not at a level that allows them to accurately locate these countries on a map. However, it is important to note that our sample is skewed towards younger participants, which might not reflect broader age demographics. Additionally, the survey's focus on certain well-known figures may have influenced the higher accuracy rates for these questions specifically.
In summary, our survey compared age and socioeconomic status to general knowledge about global figures and events. The 18 to 24 age group showed a higher accuracy, particularly in identifying leaders like Putin and Xi Jinping. In terms of socioeconomic status, middle and upper middle class typically showed higher accuracy. Although these specific demographics might show a correlation in terms of accuracy, another consideration could be the fact that these categories, 18 to 24, middle, and upper middle, held the most responses from our survey, which might have skewed our data. We learned from this project that although the means of collecting data through a survey might generate a vast pool of responses, the correlations between the collected data might not show an accurate representation of the acuity of our determined demographics. Thank you for watching our presentation. These findings offer an interesting look at how different demographic groups perceive global issues. If you have any questions or would like to discuss further, please feel free to ask.